Hey everyone, welcome to the Musicians Gear podcast. We are joined by Domo Chavez, right? That's how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah.
Perfect. How you been doing, Domo? I don't feel I ran into you how long ago was it? You were at the Sandy Mountain America Expo Center or whatever.
Yeah,
Remember that?
that was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. I was with a different audio company then.
Oh, okay. Okay. And for our listeners, Domo is an AV technician and he knows his stuff. He's worked for a number of different audio companies and um, yeah. So, how long you been working as a technician full time?
Full time since 2021. Part time, I guess you could say, since like 2018, 2017.
Okay, that's it's been a while though. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, what would you say your favorite part of the job is?
It's never the same thing, I would probably say. Obviously, like I get to go to do cool concerts and see some cool conventions. I've semi met some cool celebrities or big names, but like it's never the same thing
Yeah,
per show or event.
exactly. Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of the cool thing about music. I mean, unless you're like I guess a performing artist where you're performing the same songs over and over again, every night. Even then, though, the performance is different, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think in the music industry, it kind of gives you good variety, you know. But yeah, that's awesome. So what do you guys use as far as? I mean, this is called the musician's gear, right? So let's talk some gear.
All right.
so so I'm assuming you have a big amount of gear, probably storage places, and um, what do you tend to use the most for, like, let's say, kind of run of the mill type of event that you guys are doing? What are you using as far as like a PA? What kind of board do you run, and is there any like unique ways you like to set them up?
Probably the most common thing I've like you mentioned earlier, I've worked with a couple different audio companies, but like the one I'm currently working for right now, our main system is a DNB. It's DNB Audio Technic. They're based out of Germany. Yeah, Germany. Um, but that's what we use. Um, and that's a big, so our main big sound system is the J array. There's J8s and J12s. We have J subs. Then we use the DNB amp racks and all that. And the board we primarily use is this Yamaha CL5. It's personally not our favorite, but it gets the
Yeah,
job done.
fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know if I've ever used that board actually. To be fair, um, is
It's
it
an
a
it's older. It's still used. I just did a training class not too long ago, and they use it. They used it at theaters a lot.
okay?
But for what we want, it's kind of outdated. But
Yeah,
it gets the job done. It gets the job done. It's not a horrible board, but it's just not our preferred board.
gotcha. I mean, I totally get that. I I honestly don't know what my preferred board is anymore. Um, I mean, the X32 I like to use, but I used for the first time it was the Studio Live 32 channel digital mixer. I don't know if you ever used that. Um,
Is that Behringer or is that?
no, Studio Live I think is the name. Here,
Oh,
let me look up on my phone real quick. I'm pretty sure took a picture of it because I ran sound for Talon. They were doing a city festival, and their sound guy couldn't come, and he was like, So they were gonna just have some like high school kid just like run it by himself that wasn't super familiar with it, and
hmm.
so he was like, "Hey, do you mind just stopping by?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, dude," because that would have been it would have not been good. Where did I? And I've
I
taken
don't
a
think I've ever heard of that board before.
yeah.
I'm
So
sure it
yeah,
can't be.
Studio Live the 32SX.
Interesting. I'll have to look it up after this.
Yeah, it's interesting. It took me a minute to kind of figure out it because I've never used it before, but
Hmm.
definitely not my favorite. Um, you know, but it's a nice board. Allen and Heath, some of their boards I like. Um,
Those are our favorite at work. We don't have any personally, but we've all worked with Alan and Heath quite a bit, and we're hopefully going to get some soon.
okay, you guys getting the 16 or the 32? You think?
Probably the 32. We're looking at getting the D Live, a couple of D Lives,
Okay,
because
yeah,
of what we do. It'll cover the big bands that sometimes go through, and it also cover the conferences and conventions.
yeah. Now that makes sense. Would you say you guys are doing more like bands or like conferences?
Mostly conferences. We do the occasional band.
Okay.
Just depending. Just I wasn't involved with it, but just this last weekend there was a North County Summit Fair. They had Rodney Atkins come,
Oh, cool.
and we provided the sound and the board for that, and a sound guy. So, but other times, like some bands will come through. Trying to think of who came through not so long ago. Um, I can't remember their name,
That's
but
okay.
they brought their own sound guy, and they just asked that we get re-rent a Digico board for them, and we did that and set it up, and they ran it.
Oh,
So
cool.
it just depends on the show. But Rodney Atkins, he's kind of a bigger country artist, not
Yeah.
like huge by any means, but like he was okay with one of us running the show
Oh, cool. Okay.
on our own board. So,
Yeah. Interesting.
and my coworker said he was like really easy to really cool guy to work with. So it just depends on the band and who comes through.
Yeah. No, I get that. Where I work. We're kind of in the same boat. We do a lot of conferences right now. Starting to have like symposiums, and things of that nature. Um, and right now we have some software company. I can't say who, but um, you know,
Yeah, I
it,
understand.
yeah, but they have 7 breakout rooms. So we had to get 7 podiums for them, 7 projectors and screens, and they're taking up the full ballroom. And something I've never used before, but they like wanted was catchbox microphones.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
those are kind of interesting. Kind of cool, but kind of like I don't know. It's like if you want, I guess if you want to just chuck microphones around, that's a way to do it.
yeah.
But anyways, that's cool. Yeah, um, yeah, Allen and Heath is good. I mean, I the first time I ever used them was it was for a Sing Utah thing back in the day. Me and Blake. I don't remember how we even got a hold of the Allen and Heath because it's not Blake's. I mean, maybe he has one now, but I'm pretty sure he just borrowed one or something, or a venue had it. I
Mm.
can't remember. And that was the first time either one of us had ever used that, and it was just like we're like this is weird, like. But once you get used to it, it's like if you've only used a couple digital boards, you kind of like, well, I know how to do this one, so I like this one, right? Like,
Hmm.
most people learn on the X32 or the M32 usually like a digital board, right?
Yeah.
Allen and Heath is more expensive type of digital
Oh
boards,
yeah.
right? So, and apparently that Studio Live one, which you'll look up, I I believe it's like quite a bit more expensive. It's probably more like the Allen and Heath prices, or even more expensive than that. So,
Oh really?
so maybe it's like a pretty good board, but I think it was more of a theater board as well. Like they use it
Gotcha.
more in the live, like productions like that, live productions. Um, but okay, no, that's pretty cool. Do you guys do very much video?
We do. We have. That's probably our biggest department is video. They have some of the big cameras that you'll see at like sporting and news events. We have one or two of those. We have like handheld camcorders that we'll set up for breakout rooms or whatever.
Yeah,
We have video walls. We have
nice.
basically all we could need for a streaming, whether it's just like a little podcast kind of situation like this, all the way up to a like a big production. I don't know how much I can say. Like basically we have our own mobile news
Yeah.
channel kind of truck,
Oh, that's cool.
that we can roll out to whatever venue or whatever people pay for, and it like can broadcast like it's like channel 2 News or KSL, whatever, that kind of studio on the go.
Oh, interesting. So, like, radio frequencies and stuff, and big antennas and stuff to be able to do that, or
Mostly through the internet, not like big
oh,
antenna. Yeah,
gotcha. I
mostly
was
through
thinking
the.
old school, like
No, I
I
don't
guess.
even know if we do deal with the local news quite a bit. Again, I don't know how much I can say without getting in trouble.
Yeah, you
But
don't say any specifics. That's
yeah,
totally
but some
fine.
of our clients, like we do mostly like if it's mostly like we're dealing with the local news channel, they'll bring their own camera and then we'll just send them an audio feed,
Oh yeah, okay. That
which is super simple to do. But we can do our own broadcast kind of thing, and usually those clients have like their own website or streaming service that they use, that
yeah.
we help them get basically a professional studio kind of recording for
Okay,
their
yeah.
yeah.
No, I yeah, we don't do a ton of that. Not a lot of clients ask for it,
Hmm.
Like we do have one client that they wanted to screen record what's going on at the projector and then all the audio along with it. They didn't want they don't want any of the audience or anything. They just want whatever to screen record it, and then just all the microphones, the audio of the conversation, so they can watch it back and just see the presentations and the audio that the words that went along with it,
Oh,
which
okay,
is
cool.
yeah, it's the first person or first client we've done something like that. So we're using like a little black magic screen capture device, and we're just
Yeah.
going out of our projector, and whatever they see on our switcher, um,
Hmm.
that's what they're gonna see on the video. And
Yeah.
it was kind of weird though. I don't know if you ran into this very often, but do you guys use mini XLR very often?
Yes, and I just can't remember where the application we used it for, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, so haven't had to use it very often, right? And I've
Hmm.
hardly seen them doing my freelance stuff and then, the stuff I do now.
Hmm.
And we d- I was looking online, we needed something like for tomorrow, and I was looking at Amazon Guitar Center and trying to order stuff in, and it wouldn't get here on time because we didn't
Hmm.
realize we didn't have that specific cable. And I was like,
Hmm.
because what we needed was a female XLR to a male mini XLR,
Oh,
so we
gotcha.
could go out of our board and a mix out to that, so we could just
Hmm.
yeah, so we can not put the music through it, that we have just for the background, and
Hmm.
we didn't have any mini XLR at all, first of all, and I was like, what the, I mean, why do we have this like video recorder if we don't have anything that can like put
Yeah.
audio into it? Like, what the heck? Like, it does have an HDMI as well, but like,
Hmm.
so I guess that's what they must have done in the past. But it was just funny to me. So we we had a custom cable made for us
Oh.
on the spot, and yeah, now we got audio going through it, and it's great. But it was just one of those things. It's like last minute, I was like, we're all like, oh, is there a workaround? It's like, no, we either can go through HDMI or we got to go through the mini XLR, and I guess that's something you deal with a lot more video. We just don't do a lot of the recording for
Hmm.
video on our end. We tend to do a lot more audio, but yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't know if you ran into moments when you're just like rushing around trying to figure out, oh, we need this one adapter or this thing, and um,
Not with my current job so much anymore, because like we have such a big warehouse, and like we kind of know, unless it's a brand new client who doesn't really know what they need. But
yeah,
most of the time, we know we have everything. We've the not me personally, but the guys in the company have done these things a million times. With my previous company that I met you at the Sandy Convention Center,
yeah.
we ran into those kind of situations a lot. So we had to get really super creative.
Oh, yeah.
Um, um, Google how do I do this while on the show while not letting the client see what we're doing because we don't know what we're doing.
All right.
Because they came up to us last minute and were like, "Hey, can you do this? We really have to have this." And we're
Uh,
like,
that's always the worst.
"Yeah, sure, just a
We'll see what we
minute."
can do. Yeah.
And then we'll go behind the curtain and Google like, "What the crap are they talking about? How do we fix this?" And we
Oh,
obviously there's been very few times that I can think of where we straight up told the client like, "No, what you're asking for is
it's not
not
feasible.
possible. It's
Yeah.
not possible," or it's like this could have been possible if you gave us like a few days notice so we could rent the gear.
Right.
But other times we got creative and worked around it.
Yeah.
Not so much now with this job that I have.
Okay. No, that must be a breath of fresh air for
Yeah,
you.
it really is.
Shoot. How long you been with your current company?
Since May of last year, 2023.
Oh, okay. So it's been about a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Um, yeah, I know we tried to plan this podcast earlier and then we had to keep rescheduling, but
Yeah.
that's just the life of someone that in our industry, right?
hmm
Um, like most people, if I would have like messaged them and be like, "Hey, like if you want to still do this, like at 9:30 at night," they'd be like, "Heck no, I'm not doing that." But you're probably up a lot later than most people, working later gigs than
Yeah.
your shifts just change are ever changing. But I'm sure you do more night things than more than like a 9 to 5 type of situation, right? So
Well, sometimes I am up later, but also I'm like also there super early. Like some shows, it's like, all right, you got a 6 hour turnaround. You'll leave the convention center at 12 at night, and you got to be back there at 6 in the morning. So sometimes it's just whatever you got to do. And these clients that we have currently, not so much with my old job, but currently these are like multi-million-dollar companies, MLMs, mostly MLMs. I can say that,
yeah,
but they are multi-million-dollar companies that are like, hey, this is what we need, and then the account executives and technical directors are like, all right, that's what we got to do, and then the crew will be back there 3, 4, 6 hours later. It's
yep.
just what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I had my assistant out for a while, and
hmm
when he was gone, he would kind of help cover some different hours, so I would like either do the morning kind of shift more, and he would kind of do the evening, or vice versa, just depending on what we just kind of decided and needed that week. But he was gone for like a whole month, and so I was working like 16-hour days with my tech, just because I'm the director, so I'm the only one allowed to do certain things and quote people out, and um, so I was there very, very late, very early. I mean, I get it. I've slept in my office before,
I think I saw
because
you post about that on Instagram once that you slept in your office.
yeah, that was a rough night because we were getting done at like 1 in the morning, and we had to
hmm
be back there by 5, and I was living in Orem at the time.
Oh,
And from Park City to Orem, it was like a 2 hour drive in the wintertime, one
oh
way.
yeah,
So it was like 4 hours. I would have gotten like maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep and then
yeah.
come back. I was like, what's the point? And so I just slept in the office. I had a sleeping bag and wasn't great sleep, but I probably had more energy even sleeping on the floor than I would have had getting 1 or 2 hours of sleep on a bed and then
Yeah,
having to drive. And then that would have been a little dangerous driving that tired. And, you know, it's just one of those things.
I
But
had very similar thing with Sundance Film Festival. Not with my current job, my old job. We helped with the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, and same thing. Except I got done at like some of my coworkers had it worse, but I got done at like 1 in the morning and had to be there back there like 5 in the morning because they had an early morning yoga session with a couple of celebrities.
oh yeah,
And so my boss had an RV parked somewhere, and it was a really cold night at night. But but same thing, middle of winter, either drive back to Midvale where I was living at the time, or and get like 2 hours of sleep and then head back to Park City. Same
yeah.
thing.
Uh, you got to do what you got to do, like you're saying. some days are like that, and you're like, man, this kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
also, you could be doing something that sucks even more, like a job that you hate and that,
Yeah.
isn't in the industry that you want. Because, I mean, I'd rather like work a lot more like I have been doing something I enjoy than like working something that I absolutely hate.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and I did that for a while. I was a property manager, and I was not something I enjoyed. I did that for 3.5 years after
Oh,
college, and but it was a good opportunity. I got got manager experience and was a rental apartment manager for about a year and a half, and that helped me get the job I have now. But I was just like, right before I like left, I was just like, man, what am I doing? Like, I don't like this, and like, it's just draining. Property management is one of those jobs that like people, the homeowners will call you super early in the morning, super late at
hmm
night, and like emergencies happen, so you're not really ever off the clock. And it's just, and I didn't like necessarily like the type of work. Like it was fine, but like some
yeah.
days I was like, gotta reevaluate this career thing, So
I unfortunately haven't had to experience that since being out of Snow College. I was able to straight from Snow College go into AV, and I don't envy a lot of our uh, friends and co-students that we went to school with that got a degree in music and then they're working an office job, and you spend all that time and money going to school and then you're not doing what you want to do. So I don't envy you or any of our friends at all that are not working in the field they want to.
right, yeah. I mean, for
But
me,
fortunately now you are working in that
yes.
field.
I mean, I was doing freelance stuff before then too. Um,
hmm
but I don't know. For me, I kind of just like lost sight. I like when COVID happened, I was doing stuff like we're still doing the band, and me and Blake were still running some things, and we had some stuff going, and I had freelance stuff, like I said, from a couple production companies that I know the owners and I'm friends with them.
hmm
Um, but I mean, I was dating someone somewhat seriously at the time, and then I just during COVID, I'm like, okay, I got to get a job, like something
hmm
secure, because the entertainment industry just like tanked, right?
Oh yeah.
Shows were being canceled left and right, and so I was like, well, I'll get something reliable for now. And a buddy of mine, his uncle has owns a property management company, kind of helped me get a job there. Gave me a good recommendation, and so then I just worked there, and I did that for a while. I didn't really like, and I'd still do other projects and stuff, but I was just like, well, it's bring in money, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't really look too seriously. I don't know why I did that. I think I was just caught up in my relationship, and like, just I don't know. Just one of those things. Maybe I didn't think there was like opportunities out there. I I didn't have that manager experience at that time too, so I didn't,
hmm
probably I don't know. It's just one of those things that you get caught up, and before you know it, you're like, wow, how much time has passed? I've been graduated for how long now? I don't know if you ever thought that. Like, I uh, I interviewed Jackson Harden,
hmm
and we were talking about how long since we'd seen each other, and it'd been like 5 years, because not quite 5 years, but 4 or 5 years.
hmm
Because I graduated in December of 2019. So that was my last semester. Was fall, winter semester.
And I
Um,
took I took that semester off for a break.
okay, and so you graduated in.
Well, technically, I never graduated. I kind of was like, and this is not a diss on anybody, but I was like, my degree is kind of useless in what I do,
Yeah,
and
it's not needed to like get a job in it.
yeah, and in the AV field, I can't speak for freelance musician or teaching or anything like that, but in the AV field, like nobody cares that you have a degree in music. Nobody cared,
Yeah,
and
it's the
so,
experience they want, and like
oh yeah,
the technical ability of like learning how to diagnose things and think that way.
yeah. and I was just newly married, and my wife and I were just discussing it. Like, is it worth it? And we were living in, or no, we were living in Midvale at the time, where we just, is it worth it for me to drive down to Snow College once a week, twice a week, whatever we can work out? And we both just came to the realization, like, if I need a degree, I'll go back. But as of right now, I'm working full time. I'm happy. So
Yeah.
one day I might go back. But as of right now, I'm like, snow's kind of in the past right now. I still love snow. Highly recommend snow, but snow's in the past right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, and everyone has a different journey. Like, we have lots of friends that went to school that didn't make it through the program because they didn't make it through the program, and other people decided they wanted to change, career paths. Other people just took a long time to get through it, you know.
Hmm.
And for me, like, I told myself I had to get a bachelor's degree in something, but it didn't matter what it was, but I had to get a bachelor's degree. And I set that goal for myself just one, because I like to learn, and
Hmm.
it's just like being educated, I think, was a good idea. But also, I'm like, it's good to have that on a resume.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. Like, it was stuff I wanted to learn, so it was like fun to go to school. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have to drag myself. Like, I know I have lots of friends that were like dragging themselves to class, and there were some classes that were like that, like some math classes or like
Yeah.
physics classes. But other than that, it was a great experience for me. And I mean, we would have never met, if
Yeah, exactly.
so. And yeah,
And I also wouldn't be in the field if it wasn't for snow. I wouldn't be in this field having been like put me behind the board to run the bands at Snow. I would never have thought of being in the live sound. I would have kept banging my head against the wall, trying to be a studio engineer. So
right. Yeah, and see, that's awesome. Like, you learned that's what you wanted to do, and that you had a knack for it. And then same thing, I wouldn't probably be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't probably have a podcast talking about music and gear and stuff. And I would have never played in that '80s band that I played in for a while. And
hmm.
um, yeah, I mean, I was like a basement singer songwriter. I never had released anything, didn't
Hmm.
really perform very often. Um, Never had been in like a full band. Knew very little about recording and studio work and live sound. Like, I had a little bit. I had a couple, like, microphones, and I was always interested in that stuff though. Like, and I try to teach myself, but when I finally like went to a setting where I could learn, and people had other equipment, and like we needed to set it up for our band, or school gave me an opportunity, or people needed someone that knew the basics of it, right? Like,
Hmm.
it opened up those opportunities, and it sounds like it did the same for you, which is awesome. And I don't know. I think about it, like, at least since I've been working in the industry now, I'm like, man, I've been working a long time today, or for many hours, but I wouldn't want it any other way, like doing anything else.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, the only thing that I think would be potentially better is if, I had my own, like, my own venue. But that's
Yeah.
but other than that, like, I mean, like, I'd be doing what I'm doing already, even if it was my own business, pretty much, I
Yeah.
think.
Exactly.
So, and I get paid a lot more than I did in my old job. and
Same.
and yeah, it's weird because people are like, you can't make money in music, and it's like, well, there's a lot of opportunities. So
That's throw my parents under the bus. They thought the same thing too when I said I'm quitting being an engineer, studying to be an engineer at school, and I wanted to be music. And they're like, "Are you sure?" But then as soon as they saw me like being able to do live sound stuff, they're like, I remember my dad being like, "You could go to Vegas. You could do this in Vegas. Like, do this full time." And like, yeah, yeah, I can.
that's
So
awesome. Would you ever move to Vegas?
I would rather move to Vegas than California. There's a
Fair.
lot more opportunities in California. I will give it that, but like, um, I like the Four Seasons, so I don't think I would ever move to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah, and the cool thing about Vegas is just it's like its own thing, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's so expensive to live in California as well. So
Yeah,
like maybe you would make you would probably make more, but it's like, would you really? You know?
yeah. I
So
would rather honestly be able to get my name out there big enough that I, as a freelancer, I don't know if I'll ever be a freelancer in the future. I like what I'm doing. I don't necessarily like being my own boss.
yeah,
It works for some people. It doesn't work for me. But if I ever become a freelancer, I'd want to get my name out there big enough in a bunch of different states and work in California and get the California money and still live here.
yeah, that's the way to do it. Not live in the state, but like get the gigs there, right? So you go and
Yeah,
travel, and uh, depending on who your clients are, they might even pay for your room and board, right? Or you just have that
yeah,
included in the pricing, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I don't know if I'd want to be a full time like freelance person either. Like pros and cons. But the
Yeah,
nice thing
for
about
sure.
having like specific properties that you work with is, it, you know, you get like a lot of things change, but it also you know them so well. You know different solutions, different problems. I feel like, I mean, it's a pro and a con because when you go to a place you've never been, you have to like, okay, brainstorm. Okay, what's the best way to set things up? What's the best way to get power here? What's the best way to EQ this space, right? So
Hmm.
there's that, but at the same time, when you're having to haul gear like into weird places and you have like
Hmm.
you know that you're not familiar, like you have to, I don't know. Like there was one time, me and Blake had to do something at it was like the dinosaur museum, um, in Mid Murray. Is there one in Murray or Midville? Like I don't even, you know what I'm
If there
talking
is
about?
one, I'm not aware. There is one in, um, I don't know. There's the one in Thanksgiving Point. There's one downtown, but I didn't. I
I
used to
think
live
it's
in Midville.
downtown. It
I
might
didn't
be in
live in.
downtown.
I think if it's the one in downtown, I've done that before too, and it's a funky place.
Yeah, there's some really long hallways. You have to go down to like get to their. It's not a ballroom. It's just like a reception room almost, but it has stairs and um, yeah, it's kind of a funky space. But they had a wedding there anyways, and we
Oh,
had to set them up. And we don't at that time we didn't have like any dollies or anything, so we are just like freaking hulking these like speakers in our one in each arm, you know, and like
hmm,
I just remember that, and I'm like, I mean, if I were to do things like full time, I would have like dollies and
yeah.
carts and stuff, you know, like why like when you're young you can do that, and I'm still relatively young, but I don't want to be doing that all the time. Like I still like
Yeah.
lift, you know, like we have these I think they're 12-inch speaker Mackies. They're
Okay.
kind of they're old. I don't know the
Oh,
exact series.
yeah, those are heavy.
They're heavy, yeah. So, and I left those above my head, but you know, I'll have to move those around with my techs sometime.
Hmm.
We have like a whole bunch of old ones that we use as backups because we usually use the QSC 12.2s.
Oh, we have a ton of those. Those are other ones that we use a ton of.
Oh yeah, well they're nice because you can just plug a microphone into it and it has a built-in mixer in the back, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to have a mixer, which is super nice. So
Hmm.
we use those a lot of times. We usually have two of those in our ballroom with our house sound. It's, a lot of times it's what we do. Kind of just have both of those. But then also for like a small breakout room, if we need just one speaker, we can just plug a wireless mic into the back of that, and they're good to go, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so I like those. We used to use EVs a lot, 12-inch uh, EV speakers. I
I
forget the
had
exact series, but that's what Blake has or had.
I
I don't
had
know if he
those
sells
at
them.
my old job too. I think I know which model you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean they're nice. I like them. They're clean sounding. Um, have you used very many Behringer speakers?
Not sent. No, no, I haven't. I thought we did at Snow, but we didn't have any Behringer speakers. We had Mackeys.
Yeah, Mackie Thumps is what we
Yeah.
used. Yeah, and I didn't love those. They they had a really good low frequency range, but their high ends was like, to me, I think they sounded pretty bad, like for the high
Really?
ends.
I thought they're high end. Well, when you we mixed it, Ben and I figured out. Well, Ben figured it out that if you mix the thumps with the JBLs that we had, the JBLs handled the mids, and the thumps handled the lows and then the highs pretty well with the subs that we had.
Maybe it's just
So,
the mids I was thinking of though, but there it's either the mids or the highs.
but
That was
yeah, by
like,
themselves they were trash.
oh yes, yes. I mean, and that's why we would like for monitors, we'd always just give a thump to the bass player because
Yeah.
they like those. Like, oh, I can hear myself. This is nice, you know. And I'm like, yeah, that's good for you.
Were you? We also. I don't know if you were there when you were still at Snow, but we got in ears, not the nice professional, but they were just wired in ears for the bass players and the drummers. And
Oh, the P2s.
yeah, we had the P2s, and then we switched. I figured out Ted had the Behringer P16s,
Okay.
and I figured out you can mix those. You can incorporate those with the X32. So you can have like basically your own little mixer and adjust your mix how you wanted it. And I gave those to the drummer and
Hmm.
the bass player.
We
They're
may
Behringer P16s.
P16s. Yeah, for some reason I thought they're P2s, but I think yeah, that sounds more right. I think we did have like two of those or something like that. We didn't have a ton, from what I
No, we
remember.
didn't. Ted bought them for the studio, and but we never used them after Ted left. And then I pulled them out of the closet and was like, "Hey, I wonder if these would work." And just messed around with the X32, looked on YouTube, and was able to give the bass keys and drummer their own like personal mix monitor that were in ears, but wired in ears, but they were able to mix their own mix. It was
Y-
really it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly that's all a drummer needs. They don't need a wireless one. Like they're just sitting down, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
same with the bass player. I mean, like if they can move a little bit, but
Unless they're
uh,
like Budge, all of them just set pretty much stood right there.
that's true. Budge would move all over the stage.
Budge would
You couldn't keep him in one spot,
no.
which you know that's kind of the fun part of his performing, like watching him perform. You know, his
Yeah.
performances. Yeah, yeah, I think we did have those when I was still there. I think that was towards the end of my time at Snow College when we did that. But yeah, those are awesome. I mean, for what they are, like they work great, you know, and simple. You know,
Hmm.
they're not weird or anything. Um, do you have any mixers like personally, or do you just kind of use all your own what your business or what your company uses? Do you like having your own personal gear you like to use, or
I want with my old company, I wanted to get my own mixer just because I got tired of being sent like the oldest, crappiest thing we had, and I was like, I can't make this thing work to save my life.
yeah,
Um, there's Mackie has this digital board that connects with an iPad. In theory, it's really cool because you hook up a router and you connect your iPad to the router, and the router is connected to this little board.
yeah,
But the problem is that there's no physical buttons. It's just you just have the a gain knob, and then the inputs, and then that's it. If you cannot get your iPad to connect to that mixer, you are SOL. You cannot work the show. All you can do is just a gain,
yeah,
which if it was just talking heads, that's all you need. But if you can't get the iPad to mix it with it, to connect with it, it would not work. So I was about to buy my own like what is it, the X Air 16, if that's what it
yeah. The
is.
XR 16. Blake had that, and we used that. It's that wireless mixer.
Yeah,
It's like a
I
snake
used
and a mixer in one.
yeah, it's a really cool idea. I don't know how like roadworthy they are, but I used it once with Jordan Saucier. Jordan Saucier asked me to mix his band in Windover, and I used it, and I was like, this thing's really awesome. It
Yeah,
actually works too. So I was about to buy one of those, and then I left that job, and then I'm like, the only board I want is a Allen and Heath SQ6 or 7, but that's
okay,
like
yeah,
that's 6, 7. No, last I checked it was like 8 grand, I think,
yeah. I think that sounds right.
and I
That
can't afford that.
yeah, they're spendy. They're not cheap. But yeah, no, I I've used those XR. 16 Airs or whatever, X Air
Mhm.
16s, and they're nice. I think you can. I've never done this, but I'm pretty sure you can Ethernet it to your computer if you weren't like doing a wireless like an iPad type of thing, and you can
You
pull up an
can.
application.
You
Um,
did. You can. I did it with Jordan Saucier. I was just like, he's like, you can mix it with your from your computer if you want, and so I was just messing around with it. But all he did was I set it up to as a backup just in case my iPad crapped out on me,
yeah,
and I can mix side stage. But fortunately, the iPad didn't crap out on me. But yeah, you can.
yeah. I've never done it that way, but I don't know. It feels weird doing it on a computer to me. I'd rather just use an iPad or the actual like have faders, you know. But on a computer,
Hmm.
it's just like I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I
Actually, that reminds me of a story. So the not the current job, my previous job. Um, one of the first few shows I did, there's this touring, a small, very small touring band that came through, and their A1, their head audio engineer, had an X-Air 18, and he would mix from his computer, and we were like, we have an M32 you can connect to the X-Air, or you can use our M32 and have all 32 channels, and he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just mixing on the computer. And he mixed it, hit the entire show on the computer. It sounded really good, but
huh. I
it
guess you're
was
either that guy or you're not, and I'm
yeah. We were like, whatever, dude. We have the X32, which is the exact same thing, but whatever.
that's funny. Yeah. I think if I ever have a choice, it's either got to be an iPad or it's got to be the board. Like, especially
Yeah,
the digital board. It's just I don't know. Just it's not the same. I don't know.
yeah. The board all the way. The iPad. I've had the issue with my iPad where it gets to overheat a little bit and it just becomes extremely slow.
Oh yes, I've or it has a hard time connecting depending where you're at. Like
Yeah.
it'll like you'll like try to drag it and you'll like kind of be like behind, you know, like where your
Hmm.
finger actually is, and then you're not really sure where to stop your finger because it's like, is it still following me? I don't even know. Like,
Yeah. Or you're chasing feedback and you're like, go to put the fader down, and you can see the digital fader go down, but it still takes a minute for it to get through the system before the feedback stops.
exactly, yeah. I mean, the iPads are nice though. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you can't have like your front of house setup or where your your board. If you can't have your
Hmm.
board like ran in front of the stage, right? You have to have it off to the side. You know, it's like an iPad. You just walk. You know, you can walk out into the crowd or you know in front to the front of house, but your board's
Hmm.
by the stage. You know, and you're
Yeah.
because a lot of times you do. You know, for a lot of companies, production companies or whatever, you have to do that because you're not able to run like a super long cable. You know,
Hmm.
like for whatever you know whatever the reasons may be. But
Um, the While I was still at Snow during the summer, I was helping another audio company do wedding bands, and that's what we did. We used the iPad, had the board side stage, and then had like the wedding parting bands off on the stage, obviously, and I would mix out in the audience with an iPad.
yeah, which is awesome because you're like just sitting there like jamming, like you know, and you're just people don't even know like you're making the show happen even though you're out with everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know, sometimes people know, but
Hmm.
you know, it's just kind of cool.
And I did that job with Taylor Weeble and John Fisher that summer too. That was right before COVID too.
Oh, okay,
Hmm.
man. Yeah, I ran into them. I mean, I ran into Taylor not that long ago. Um, my technician actually is in a band with him. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
is it Benny?
it's Benny. Yep.
I can't. I've worked with Benny.
Yeah.
We actually did a show out in Colorado City. I was the A1 and he did lights.
Oh, cool. How long ago was
Yeah.
that?
That was that was when I was dating my wife. That was 2021.
Oh, that was a while ago. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a small world. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, when I met Benny, and he was like, knew a lot of the same people that I went, you know, he's like, you're a snow guy? I was like, yeah. And then, you know, it's funny because anytime I go somewhere music, it's like someone from Snow College is somehow involved. Like
Yeah.
it just we're very versatile creatures, you know. We like to be involved in everything,
Yeah.
music wise. No, it's just
Utah is kind of funny too because I've learned this from our snow college friends. Like, you go outside of the state and it's like, do you know this person? And they're like, nah, not really. Granted, Utah is smaller compared to like California or whatever, but like,
yeah.
the musicians here in Utah are like so tight knit, and
Oh,
um,
100%.
even like some of the musicians, I'm like, hey, did you ever work with this person? And they're like, yeah, they went to Snow. I'm like, oh yeah, I went to school with them. And they're like, or no, I would be like, hey, do you know this person? Like, yeah, how do you know that person? I was like, oh, I went to school with them. And like, oh, Snow. And they just roll their eyes.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I have people tell me like, "Man, you guys are everywhere." And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the idea, you know. Like you go to a school where primarily it was just a music school for a while. You know, that was
Hmm.
their first bachelor's degree they had, and that's kind of what it's known for. You know, just and then you get people in a small town. They get to know each other and they work hard to get their degrees and get involved in all these other projects, and then and then everyone moves to different areas, but then they just gig all over, you know, whether it's doing
Hmm.
live sound, whether it's performing. It was funny, we were in a meeting um, where I work, and people were talking about I'm trying to not say like what the event was, but there was an event going on in Park City. That's
Hmm.
and one of the names they said that was performing in the lineup, I think it was Angie Petty, and I was like, hey, I know
Oh,
her.
really?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's funny, and yeah, it's just a small world. And when I go to open mic nights down at the Velour, I've ran into multiple people from Snow,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, man, it's so cool. Like, I think say what you will, and some people have different mixed views on like the whole program and everything. I feel like they do prepare you if you want to be able to work in the industry, right? In various different ways. And they give you opportunities to learn different skills that if you apply them right, then you can be successful. And one of the big things is just networking and like getting the experience, like being willing to try, and just
Hmm.
having that good reputation and being professional, like showing up on time, helping out with things, right? Like even if you weren't the sound guy, and there was a performance going on, the band would come and help set up, right? That was the expectation. I feel like they kind of just set. Um, I mean, like I feel like Ted was that way, Vance was that way. Um, Ben, the expectation was, yeah, help out. If you want to help out, help out. And if you had an interest in something, they would give you opportunities like, hey, we see that you really like helping set up for CME or whatever, or
Hmm.
union, whatever it's called now, right?
I
And
have no idea now.
that's what I'm pretty sure that there's different groups called union.
Yeah.
And if you weren't much of a performer, but you wanted to be in the group, in the different ensembles, you could be their sound guy. Like for their rehearsals, you could mix their sound and help, send things to their monitors and adjust the levels, and that's what you do for their rehearsal.
Hmm.
I know that's something I think is super cool because, not everyone's going to be a singer. Not everyone's going to be a guitar player like in those groups. But occasionally people would like be like, you know what? I've never played this instrument, but this song that we're trying to learn for our ensemble needs it. So I'm going to try it.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It just there was a cool expectation. There definitely is a professionalism that is learned, and I
Hmm.
think that is very valuable because I know anytime if I'm trying to like perform or do a gig with someone from Snow College, that I'm going to get a certain expectation of their professionalism and their quality as a musician, right? And when there's other people that didn't go to college, right, and they're
Hmm.
great musicians, I just don't know. I don't have that kind of like opinion, I guess, or this there's a different word I'm trying to think of. Impression of them.
Yeah.
I guess that might be a way of saying it. But I don't have this impression of them, and be like, oh yeah, I know they'll be good. And obviously that's not always the case. But
Hmm.
as a standard, I know like, hey, if they made it through the program, and especially if I knew them, because I would work, with them in different aspects. I know the ones that were a little bit more reliable, and the ones that when I first started doing stuff with them, they weren't reliable.
Hmm.
And there's a couple people that would be in our band that we didn't necessarily rehire because of certain like how professional they were when things went wrong, right?
Hmm.
I won't say names here, but
Yeah.
it happened, and because if you're around people that all kind of have like a certain professionalism and like personality type where they're like, they don't want to burn bridges, they want to be kind even when things are rough and stressful, like those are people you want to be around, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you have techs that you work with that you like to work with more because they're a little bit more cool headed when it's important,
Yeah.
and then other ones that maybe are like start to get a little hot headed and when things are going bad and you're just like, hey, like we just gotta figure it out, like we don't need to make a big deal about this and swear, and like occasionally it is what it is, but
Hmm.
at least that's how I feel sometimes. People I've worked with, you got to be a problem solver, not a problem griefer, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Um, the Tom Diamond, who that's who me, John, Benny, and Taylor worked with. Um, Tom was talking to me and John and Taylor like, I'm just gonna keep hiring snow college guys just because, like you talked about, like it's just like almost that expectation. It's just how we were kind of trained at the school. It's kind of the expectations that the program kind of had. Just like don't be an a hole, basically.
oh yes, yeah. I mean, and sometimes people were, and those are the people that usually didn't like the professors because they would call them out on it or not give them
Hmm.
opportunities or be a little hard on them because they're like, no, like that's not what you do, like I can't. There's like a couple people in mind I have, like they just had like bad things to say about like Vance and stuff, and I'm like, what? Like, I've never had that experience. Like, I don't know. I've always treated him with respect, and he treated with me with respect, and he was a professor, so I took what he said and learned from him because he's a fountain of knowledge, and but the people that didn't like him for whatever reason, they were the ones that usually did not finish their degree and
Hmm.
left the school because I don't know, they were just hotheads. That's the best way of putting it. They were hotheads and they thought they knew better. They weren't wanting to put in the work, but they wanted like things to go their way, right? Like they wanted
Yeah.
all these opportunities without putting in the work. And I think, you got to work towards things, right? You can't just
Hmm.
have everything given to you. And I don't know if it's a little bit of the millennial generation, and with the generation I guess behind us, which is Generation Z or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
This kind of expectation, but yeah, I really didn't have any problems with like any of the music professors specifically. I had like a weird experience with my history teacher. He was like the oldest man on campus, and I'm trying to be tactful and not say too much, but
Yeah. I
basically,
think I know who you're talking about, but I never had him as a professor. So.
oh, he was the worst. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. He was the worst. He should have retired like 10 years before I took a class from him. And anyways, basically what happened with him, and I ended up getting out of his class, but we were taking our first history test, and there was like
Mhm.
four big tests that you have to take, and then quizzes, right, for your grade. So like it's about 25% of your grade, I guess, more or less. And I took the test, and they're like these old paper tests that had all the questions on them,
Mhm.
and you could tell he had been using them for years, like just super like crumbled and like like you could barely read the words on some of the paper, and you can tell like people had spilled stuff on them and stuff. And I'm like, what the crap? Has he been using this ever like since he's been teaching back in the 80s or something? Like, so they're handing these out, and so I go through the test, answer every question on the question sheet that I have, and then I turn it in, and then I got a 50 on it, and I was like, what the heck? And then I went to go talk to him about it, and he was like, oh, well, you didn't answer half the questions. And I was like, what? I answered every question on the question sheet that you gave me. And he's like, well, you didn't answer half of them. And what happened is they're so old, there's a staple in them, and the staple had like the last like half of them were missing off the staple. And so I did go through it and answer all the questions, and
that you had.
I pretty much aced it. Like, but
Uh
I got a 50 or whatever, about a 50 because I was missing half the questions. And
huh.
so I went to talk to him. I'm like, well, I think I should be able to retake it, right? Like I feel like that's a fair thing to do. Like, let me retake it because obviously I was missing questions and I didn't know that I was missing questions. He was like, no, I said how many questions were on the test. And I was like, no, no, you didn't. Like, like respectfully, you didn't, you
Yeah.
never said that. I've been to every class. I was always on time. And I asked some of my colleagues in the class, and I'm like, did he ever say how many questions were on the test? And they were like, no, no, I don't think so. Why? Like, and I was like, so I told them what happened. And anyways, I just was trying to like respectfully just ask him for an opportunity to take it again. He was like, no, I'll just do better on the next test. And I was like, you're gonna fail me on this test because of something like that. Like, that's unreasonable, right?
Hmm.
I told him, I'm like, hey, like, I'm a reasonable person, but I feel like you're being unreasonable with me. Like, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I would like an opportunity to do well in this class. And he's like, no, just, do better on the next test. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I went in to talk to Barb after that. And I was like, Barb, this is my predicament. What do I do? And she was like, sounds like we should get you out of that class. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. And I ended up just taking it online. And
Hmm.
because I didn't have any other like history professors there at the time, apparently. Or maybe that were like available that had room in their class, probably
Oh
was more
yeah.
like it. And but the thing is, you have to have the professor sign something to get you out of the class to drop it.
Hmm.
And so I had to go talk to him after that. And I walk up to him like, hey, I need you to sign this. And he was like, I don't understand. Like, why are you trying to get out of my class? And I'm like, well, because, you weren't being reasonable with me. And I don't want to be in a class like that. Like, I want to do well. I take my schooling, seriously. And he just argued with me for 45 minutes and he wouldn't sign it. And finally he did. But like for 45 minutes, he was just like, well, I think you should stay in the class because I think it'd be good for you. And I'm like, well, are you going to let me retake the test? He's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, then I'm getting out of the class. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know, it's just because you want me to stay in the class. And the thing is, he would just go on these personal stories in class time. He didn't
Hmm.
even teach. And so you just have to be reading out the textbook and like doing the other stuff, right, to really learn anything. But he would just give all these like personal stories. And I was just like, dude, no one cares. Like, like, and he would repeat himself. And that's one of the reasons I say he should have like retired like 10 years ago is he would
Hmm.
forget the stories he told and repeat it like day to day. And like, and me and my classmates would just look at each other like, is he like seriously telling this story again? Like this has nothing to do with what we're even talking about in history, anyways. And so yeah, I got out of the class, took it online, and I did super well in it. And that was the only professor though in my whole time at the school that I had any issues with because most of them are really cool. Like a lot of them
Hmm.
like prefer you to call them by their first name and have that kind of like close relationship where you like you're I mean, it depended on the professor. Some professors were
Yeah.
like, okay, call me Professor So and so. And others would be like, just call me by my first name, like Dr. Larson, right? Like, a lot of times he just wanted people to call him Vance. Like, it's like, well, if you had that
Hmm.
relationship with him, not everyone, but like, I remember, like, Dr. Hannah, right? Like, you just call him Doc. Like, he liked to be called Dr. Hannah, but like, every professor was different, and
Yeah. Exactly.
Ted was Ted, right? Like, like,
I
Ben
don't
was
think I
Ben.
ever. Yeah, I think when I met Ben, it was never Professor Harris. It was always, or yeah, Professor Harris. It was just Ben. It's
Yeah,
just
but
always Ben.
usually it's the coolest professors that are like that. I
Yeah.
mean, from my experience in college, it's probably different every school, but like, I think the fact that it's a small town in the middle of nowhere makes it has this charm to it where like the people that do work there, they love it, the type of
Hmm.
stuff that they're doing, and they're great musicians, and yeah, it's kind of magical that there's the I don't know, this the opportunities and like just the environment that's made there. This is my experience, right? Everyone was different
Hmm.
in such a weird place. Like if you think
It is
about it, it's a
such a
weird
weird
place.
place.
Like, but it's cool. It's a cool place. I mean, city slickers don't do very well at the beginning because they're like, "There's nothing to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, you can go for a hike and you could do this or that." And like, I don't want to go country swing dancing. I don't want to go bowling. And I left a lot. So I never felt that way because I would be
Hmm.
doing gigs, right? Like I'd be like in Salt Lake, I'd be in Richfield, I would be in, Vegas, I'd be here and there, with the band. So like I never felt that way ever, like I was hardly there on the weekends, which was a good problem. I honestly, there was days I don't remember how I got all my classwork done while doing everything I was doing. I was working two jobs, performing with my band, and was a full-time music major. Like, I'm like, when did I study? When did I get assignments done? Like, it must have just been late. I remember um, there was times with Levi and Kenzie where we were in the physics. What was it? It was like it was a physics class. It was like the science of sound and music.
Yeah, I
And
didn't take that one, but I heard the first semester that was offered, that was kind of a train wreck for a lot of people.
oh, oh my gosh, let me tell you. So, and that professor, like, I didn't have issues with him as a professor. Besides, he just gave us so much like unnecessary like busy work and like assignments. And so
Yeah,
we would
that's what
like,
I've heard.
yeah, and like it just wasn't applicable to like half of what you were learning. Like assignment, like there were assignments for the sake of assignments, not for like learning your quiz or your test or whatever. Like the things you were actually supposed to be learning, it was just like very, just like not even most of the time it wasn't even related. Like I that's how I felt at least. And I remember like we all worked our butt off. There was a group of music majors in that class, and we were the A student group in that
Hmm.
class. And he would always say that. He's like, "This is the A student. They're always getting their assignments done." And we're all like, "Yeah, we're freaking annoyed by you, dude. You just give so many freaking, like, because we had so many hours you had to practice in the practice room, but we were spending
Hmm.
hours having to do assignments every night, like." And I remember Kenzie, she was I freaking love Kenzie. She was so funny in that class. She worked her butt off in that class, probably more than anyone.
Hmm.
And I think I don't remember exactly the grade she got, but it was like a B plus or something, or maybe it was a B, just a B. And I remember she was like so pissed because, and I can't remember why why she got that. I think I got like a B plus or something like that in the class, which I was happy with. I was like, whatever, like, you
Hmm.
know, and, but she was like the one that worked the most. And she was like so mad at the end. She's like, the stupid teacher, like, and, it's just like, we all were just so annoyed by the end. We were
Hmm.
so happy. Like, we all like kind of like celebrated afterwards and like, we made it through, guys. We made it through. And I think I have like a Snapchat video of us like talking, like, this is the last time our study group's gonna be together. And yeah, it was good times. I
I
think
did hear that that class got better towards the end. My last semester at Snow, I was bashing on that class because like everybody, like you said, like everybody was having a hard time. Like, is this applicable? Like, does this even? None of this makes sense. But then the last semester, somebody was arguing like, no, it's not like that anymore. I promise. It's
no,
actually a good class. So
good,
he did dumb it down because uh, Barb was like, this is an easy physics class for music majors, and obviously it wasn't easy for the first batch, and then towards the end he did
get
dumb it
better.
down. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm because like I think there was only like a week where you even talk about anything about music related. Like it's just a physics class, and then the last week you like talk about music and frequencies, um, and then you make an instrument. Like that was you make some kind of instrument. And who was who was my partner? I can't remember. Was it Jackson and me? I can't remember. But anyways, we made we made like a little pipe, um, yeah, like a whole bunch of different cylinder pipes,
Hmm.
kind of like a xylophone type of thing, almost.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Not a xylophone, but like I'm trying to think the right instrument name. I'm honestly terrible with all the production, like or percussive type of instruments.
Are you thinking like a slapophone? Is
Yeah,
that what it's called?
basically a slap-a-phone is what it
I
was.
gotcha.
Like with a whole bunch, you'd hit the longer ones, it'd make a different frequency than it would the lower one would or the shorter ones, and that there would be different sizes too, and it looked kind of terrible. Oh no, I remember it was Nate. Nate he plays bass now. He started playing bass.
And oh, I know who you're talking about, but now I can't
Oh
remember his
man,
last
I
name.
feel so bad that I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I can see his face right now too.
Anyways, I'm gonna be sleeping tonight and be like, that's who it was, right? But yeah, he was my partner on that. We made that instrument, and some people got really creative, and that was kind of fun, honestly. But that was the only part of that class I'm like, this kind of sucks. You like talked about colors most of the time and just light refracting off things, and I'm like, and just physics in general, and then you finally get to like frequencies and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting now. Like, you know,
I, it is related. It's something I learned at my current job. Um, and you never really deal with it like in breakouts or small shows, but like with what we do, because we do like big production events, we do shows at the Delta Center sometimes,
yeah,
and
dang,
most of the time at the convention center. But a pure green LED wall will knock out certain RF frequencies.
oh,
So if
interesting.
you're
A
if
pure
you're
green.
a pure green LED wall, if like a video team is messing with stuff and you're trying to like test microphone frequencies, it'll
Yeah.
completely kill a certain bandwidth, and I cannot remember the bandwidth.
Oh,
But a pure
dang.
green LED wall will completely kill a certain bandwidth of frequencies, and if you're like in those bandwidth and like if your show is like mostly like got green, um, uh, if the show has green LEDs or whatever, your frequencies are going to be dropping like crazy if you're in that bandwidth. So, fun
Dang.
fact.
Huh. I did not
And
know that.
I would never have known that until I got to this job. And my um, senior, not senior, my coworker who's been there a little bit longer than I have, was like, "Yeah, I figured that out the hard way." When all of a sudden the LED wall went completely green and the microphones were gone.
Shoot. That's a bad day right there. You're just
It's a
like,
really bad day.
what do we do, guys? What's going on? And
But the A1 at the show was like, "Are you in this bandwidth?" And I, for the life of me, cannot remember the bandwidth.
oh, that's
Um,
okay. You'll remember it
but
when you're sleeping too. You'll be like, that's the fruit. That's the bandwidth. No, that's how it goes.
yeah, but
That
yeah, it'll completely kill the frequency, and your microphones will disappear.
dang. I want to recreate that now just for fun.
I wish I could tell you what bandwidth it was.
That's okay. You'll remember one day, and if you don't, maybe I'll run into that problem. Hopefully not, but because that does sound pretty crappy.
I haven't ran into it with projectors, but an LED wall. I don't know if it's like the light frequency or just what the LED wall is doing, but it'll destroy it.
Yeah, man. What we run into is up in Park City. There's a lot of radio frequencies because there's a lot of people in walkie talkies in the
Hmm.
resorts and just the different teams, right? And so some days the frequencies were fine, but then other days we'll be like having interference with the walkie talkies, and some of the other frequencies up there. And it's rare, but like there's certain ones where like, okay, just don't have the microphone set to this because you never know.
Yeah.
Like wintertime is different, obviously, than the summertime, and we have house sound in the ballroom, and well, we actually have it in all the breakout rooms too. And it's up in Park City. A lot of times, what happens is we get a storm, and it completely like, the property loses power overnight,
Really?
and then we'll come in and we'll like be trying to like get the house sound working. We're like, why is this not? We're getting signal, but it's not going to the speakers. And then we go and look at the back, and all the amps are like, have been reset and stuff. And so by default, it's like a protection thing. Our software makes all the faders go down, like when it resets, that way it doesn't blow them. And so like anytime like the house isn't working, we're like, let's go look in the back. Let's see what's going on. And but you could have been there like
Literally turning it off and on again.
yeah, basically, and then just resetting the faders, and yeah, when it first happened, I was like, I think our house speakers are just blown. Like, because we could get some sound out, but we had to like gain it so high and it was so distorted and everything. And I'm like, why is this not working? And
Hmm.
then, that was the one time that I was like, well, I guess we're gonna have to figure that out. That's gonna be an expensive, like, but that's half the job is just like diagnosing problems, like
Yeah,
which is
it
kind of
literally
fun.
is.
Sometimes it's annoying because you're like, this is not a good time for this, like at all. Like
Hmm.
we got a high paying client and it's not a good situation.
We were doing a show at the Delta Center, and like literally everything was going swimmingly on the audio department side. In my old job, it was like I was audio, lighting, and video, whereas this one I'm just purely audio. But we were doing a show at the Delta Center, and everything was going perfectly. Everything was working, but then all of a sudden, right when we were about to start testing stuff, the network that we use to get everything talking just crapped out on us.
Oh
We spent
no.
we spent like 2 hours. Fortunately, it wasn't a show day,
Yeah.
but like we were like trying like, okay, we gotta impress this client because this is, I can't say who it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I wouldn't want you to, anyways. You
yeah,
know.
I can't say who it is. It's a big client here in Utah.
Okay. Yeah.
Huge deal. Um, and we're like we're trying to impress them. Like, yeah, we're trying to impress them. Like, yeah, we can be your sound guys. We can be your full time sound guys. You don't need to worry about hiring anybody else. We can be your sound guys, and we get everything going swimmingly. And then our network, our personal little network, because all the amps, the computer, the board, and the stage box all talk on the network.
Yeah.
And if the network goes down, and the mics, if we decide to put the microphones on the network, um, it's just so they can all talk and make things a little bit easier. So we're not going from front of house to back of house and back and forth.
Yeah.
It just crapped out on us, and then we spent like
Oh,
2 hours just racking our head trying to get this thing to re-talk to each other.
shoot. Did you guys figure it out?
We did figure it out. We didn't
Okay.
lose the client, fortunately. We're still working with them for
Good.
now,
Good. Yeah.
but
That's
but it
good.
was just like we're trying to prove that we could be their house guys.
Yeah. No. And that's I've been there. Definitely been there. And sometimes, man, sometimes something in the matrix happens and you're just like, man, like sometimes you're lucky and it's like not a critical time, and other times it's like, wait, this is supposed to be happening, like they're supposed to be starting their program in 10 minutes and now we're dealing with this. It was working 5 minutes ago. What the heck,
Hmm.
like. And we were fortunate during the crowd strike thing that happened. We had a pretty big client in house and we were using six PC laptops that were
Hmm.
all running on that Microsoft, was it 11 or whatever,
Hmm.
and that was primarily the ones that were hit, right? By that crowd strike. And lucky for us, none of those computers that we were using teching that day got affected, right? And got the blue
Oh
screen
wow.
and everything. But my assistant's computer desktop was crapped out, and then one of our other tech laptops that we happened to be not using crapped
Hmm.
out, and that laptop actually didn't get fixed for like a couple weeks. That one was like
Really?
really bad. Yeah, like the desktop eventually like updated and fixed itself with the updates they pushed out. But that laptop, we had to like, yeah, it took us a while to like diagnose how to fix it and stuff. And
Hmm.
but that could have been bad if all those laptops would have got affected. Like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we rented some laptops to help out with that too, but
Hmm.
it was, yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, we dodged a bullet in that. But whoever let that happen probably lost their job, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Just so many flights and so many just
We
multi-million billion-dollar companies being affected.
Yeah. We fortunately didn't have any shows going on at that time. We used Microsoft Outlook, but apparently Microsoft Outlook didn't get affected by the CrowdStrike thing. But like some of those things shows that we do, we would have been affected by that CrowdStrike. But Fortunately, we weren't on a show. Nobody, we didn't have a show on, but all of our shows were out of state that week, and everybody had flights were screwed up. Nobody could come home. My audio manager was out on a show, and he was like, "Screw this!" And he was in Kansas City at the time, and it's just said, "Screw this! I'm gonna rent a car, and I'm gonna charge the company for this, and just drive back to Utah."
Shoot. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. That was bad though. Like we had clients coming in or for that program that their half of the people came in like their flights were canceled, and like
hmm
it was just like bad timing. And I mean, it's never a good time for something like that to happen, but
Yeah,
that was just surprising. That was such a big scale, like, and it affected so many people.
yeah,
It's just like it kind of shows how dependent we are on technology, and if like
hmm
someone does some kind of viral warfare, like like an an EMP or something, like how much that would affect our country.
yeah.
So it's just crazy. Dang. Well, this has been fun, Domo. I know it. I don't want to keep you up too late because I'm sure you got work and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been fun just talking gear and this, catching up. And I'm glad you were able to finally be on the podcast. And even though we had to reschedule a couple times, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Um,
Being a new parent and just being an AV technician.
oh yes. How's that, by the way? How you like being a dad?
It's it's life changing. It's life changing in a good way, but it's life changing. Um, Still getting used to it. I don't think I'll ever get used to it, honestly, until she moves out, and then I'm like, okay, well,
What just happened? Yeah.
yeah, which has happened, but I have a minimum of 18 years before that. But it's been fun. It's been fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. At some point, I definitely want to be a dad. We'll see when that happens. I kind of got to get married first, I guess. That's step one. But no,
Yeah,
yeah, that's exciting. I wish you luck in that, and hopefully, you can manage your time. Of working many hours as a technician, and then also just take being a dad and finding the hours for that. I'm sure that's going to be a struggle figuring that out because
yeah.
yeah.
My poor wife.
Yeah. Well, you just got to take good care of her.
Yeah,
I'm sure you do. I'm just saying,
yeah,
it's just, yeah, to be a woman and to go through giving birth and then all the things that go along with, taking care of a child, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
it's so much work. I have nothing but love and respect for my wife.
That's awesome. As you should, right?
Yeah,
Cool. Well, yeah, like I said, awesome having you on a podcast, and yeah,
for sure.
hopefully,
This was fun.
yeah, hopefully we can run into each other at some point and catch up and go get lunch or something, or I can come and visit or something. We'll just see. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
naturally run into each other on like some kind of set somewhere, or, like event.
yeah.
I could see that happening.
What resort do you work at, if I'm allowed to ask?
So I work up in Park City at Canyons Resort.
Canyons.
I
Okay.
won't say what building, but Canyons Resort.
I might. We do shows up in Park City, mostly Stein Erickson, but we might run into each other one day.
Yeah, and if you're ever in the area, just hit me up. So
Yeah.
cool, dude. Well, yeah, you have a good night. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Yeah. See you later.